Hello all and welcome to Wow Crochet yet again for another tutorial. My name is Mary and in today's tutorial we are working on part 1 of our V-Stich top, and it's huge. I can't fit it in. Not that I'm big or anything. Yes, the top is made for me. Fine, I'm a little bit big, not much big. How gorgeous is the stitch? I love, love, love. You will need, I get too excited, don't I? You will need some yarn. This is a 10 ply cotton or a number 4 overseas. It doesn't matter what you use. You can use wool, acrylic, yarn, whatever. Just make sure you get your measurements right, which will mean you will need your measuring tape. And we're going to be doing a little bit of that in the tutorial. And you will need the hook size that the yarn calls for. I'm using a 4.5 because that's the hook size that it does call for. You will need your scissors and you will need a stitch marker, especially if you are new. Now, you don't really need the darning needle yet. You can, if you want, weave in the ends before we continue, but for this tutorial all we're doing is crocheting the piece. All right, and it is a rectangle. Okay, but you know, if you want to make yours short and make it a little crop top, you can do that as well. It's all about getting your length measurements correct when you want to make yours the size that you want, and make sure you get your width measurement correct or it will not fit your body. But I'll talk about the measurements all the way through the tutorial, so don't stress, won't leave you in a lurch there. And that's it guys, I'm not going to say too much because the rest is said inside the tutorial. So good luck with making your V-Stich top. Alrighty guys, so what I need you to do now is to do some measurements on yourself. Measure the widest part of your body, whether it be your chest or whether it be your hips, whichever the case is, okay? Because you want your top to fit directly straight down. You don't want it to go straight down and then realize that your hips were the widest part, or you don't want it to go straight down and then you didn't measure your chest properly, okay? So always get those width measurements correct. Make sure you use the largest width that you come to. For me, it's the chest, all right? Now, the other measurement you need is you need the length. Now the length is you grab your measuring tape and you just pop it right in the middle of your shoulder, just between everywhere, right in the middle there. Pass it over the top of your chest and down to your waist. Now if you wanted to go further like I did, I went further down and mine measured 56 centimeters, exactly 56 centimeters, okay? So you could use, you know, give or take 1 or 2 centimeters, doesn't matter, but roughly 56 centimeters mine measured, okay? So let's head over to the workstation and continue the measurements further. Alrighty guys, now that you know your measurements, I'm going to put a rough measurement here, and it's just 102 centimeters. All right, now this rough measurement, let me get a nice close up there for you. You are dividing your 102 by 2 equals, you may need a calculator or you could just sort of work it out. You know, you've got 100 there, half of 100 is 50, half of 2 is 1, so you've got 51. Okay, that's how I do my maths, don't tell anyone, yeah? Now, what you need to do, this is the part where you need to decide how loose or how tight you want your top to be. Now, I've started my top and I think I've done mine just a little bit too tight. I didn't allow for enough ease. So what you want to do, and the ease is what you learn about in sewing, you give yourself an extra 2.75 inches or something like that. But what we're going to do to make our top nice and loose, I'm going to add 10 centimeters. Okay, now if you wanted to, that's just extra for space. If you wanted to, you could add 8. You could even go down to 6 if you want to make it a little bit tighter. Just be wary that the less you make, the tighter your top is going to be. So I'm just going to leave 10 centimeters for you. Again, if you want to pop in 8, that's fine. I think anything less will be a little bit too tight. All right, so there you go. So it equals 61. Okay, so you've got 61 centimeters. That is the measurement you need for one side of your top. So remember that measurement after we've done our chains and after we've done the first row of our V-stitch, okay? Our very first V-stitch row. So that you will need for your top. Just one side of your top. Remember, we need to make 2 of them, so that is what you'll need for one. So grabbing a tail end, we're going to form a quick slip knot. We're going to wrap it around our finger once and twice, holding it there and holding it down there, yeah? Then we're going to grab that back loop, passing it halfway over, hold it there. Then we're going to grab the other loop, passing it all the way over your finger and grabbing your hook, popping it in. That is how we do a slip knot. Now, there are many other ways of doing it. This is just one way, okay? Remember, guys, I'm using US terminology. I do use that all the time. You need a multiple of 3 for the pattern, and that is a chain 3. And a chain is yarn over your hook. Pull a loop through once, yarn over twice, and 3 times. And again, 1, 2, and 3. Yes? And again, 1, 2, and 3. All right. Now, before we continue, you can hold on to your work, that's fine. Let's say, for argument's sake, that measurement of 61 centimetres. So remember that. What you've got to do is chain up enough chains to meet your 61 centimetres. Now, I'll show you that at the end when my chains are complete, how to keep it nice and straight, because you don't want to stretch it. You don't want to put your 61 centimetres and then just stretch it, make it look like 61. No, you need 61 just laying nice and flat beside your measuring tape. But don't stress, we can do that later. I just wanted you to know that's roughly what you will need, okay? Now you need to chain 3 all the way through to meet your 61 centimetres. All right, so head off on your own, 1, 2, and 3, and continue doing that. Alrighty guys, I have my chains, my 2.5 gazillion chains, as you do, yeah? So grabbing your chains. Now, I needed a measurement of 61 centimetres, so I'm grabbing my chains, like so, and gently running mine down to my 61 centimetres, which is there. Okay, right there. Now I'm going to say that's enough, right? It's not enough for my actual measurements. Mine are a little bit more than 61. So there you go. As long as yours measured up to the amount that you came up with. If it's not measured up to that amount, if it's measured up to, say, 5 centimetres short or 3 centimetres short, then you need to do a couple of more chains. All right, so do enough chains to suit your 61 centimetres or your number, okay? And that's that. Now you're grabbing your measuring tape out of the way for a moment. We are going to start our V-stitch, all right? Okay, there you go. Now, what you're going to do, since you've done your chains, you need to add another 7 chains. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and and 7. Don't lose it like I just did. 7. Now what you do, add your 7 onto as many chains that you made. Now I made, 100 and something chains. So whatever chains that you made, you need to be able to double it. Add it. So let's say you made 112 chains. Then you plus your other 7. That equals, I'm just guessing 112, right? That equals 119. Whoops, 100, get it right, Mary. 119. Now, do this side, complete it like we're going to. Then come back, and when you do your next side, you need to chain on 119. So I hope that makes sense, okay? Let's move it out the way. And what you need to do for now that you've got your 119, we're going to start our very first row of V-stitches, okay? So yarn over your hook. You need to pop a double crochet, and I'll show you what a double crochet is in a minute. Just pop the yarn over your hook for now. You need to pop a double crochet in the 7th chain from the hook. So that would mean you are counting these chains right here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, And in that 7th chain right there, pop your hook in that first loop only. Pull a loop through, and what you should have is 1, 2, 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. All right, chain 1. You're going to do another double crochet in the same space, yarn over your hook, pop it in the space, the stitch, sorry, pull a loop through, 1, 2, 3, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through the last 2. That is your first V, and this is classified as your chain 2 and your first double crochet. And this is where you're chaining every 3 counted. So you go 1 chain, 2 chains, and in your 3rd chain, you're going to do your double crochet, or V-stitch if you will, which is like that. Yes, chain 1, your double crochet in the same space. I'm sorry, try the same stitch. All right, there you go. So that is what you're forming your V. You double crochet, chain 1, double crochet in every 3rd stitch. So yarn over your hook, go 1, 2, and in your 3rd stitch, you put a double crochet, chain 1, and a double crochet. Easy so far. I'll bring that out a bit now so you can see better. Okay, now you're doing it again. Skip 1, 2, jump into your 3rd with your double crochet, chain 1, and your double crochet. Super duper easy. 1, 2, jump into your 3rd, and you're doing exactly the same all the way across the row. Ta-da! All right, I'm not going to sit here and let you watch me do this because, you know, it's a bit unfair on you. But what I want you to do, oh, I was right the first place, coming upwards, sorry. What I want you to do is continue in this manner, skipping 2 chains, the 1 and the 2, jumping into your 3rd with your double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, skip 1, 2, jumping into the 3rd, double crochet, chain 1, double crochet, doing that all the way across the row. Now when you get to the end, you should land about there, and then you should have 1, 2, and that will be your last one. But get to the last 3 or 4 stitches and I'll meet you up. Alrighty guys, so now you should have 1, 2, and 3 chains left. So what you're going to do is you're going to pop your double crochet in that last chain right there. Okay, if you don't have your 3 chains left, then you may have made a mistake with your count, so just check your count, but you have to have the 2 chains and then the 1 at the end. All right, and from here you're not putting a V-stitch in that last space because we didn't start the V-stitch here. We started with the chains and your double crochet, and then you did your V-stitches all the way across. Yes, now that's what you've done here. You've done your V-stitch, you've done your chain 2 and your double crochet. All right, from here we're going to turn our work. Now the way most people start their rows, and most people start with a chain 3. Yours truly is not going to do that. I'm going to pop a single crochet in here, the first stitch, there. And on the side of that single crochet, there's a little loop right there, just that one loop. You're going to do another single crochet on that. Right there. So that's actually 2 single crochets. Now the reason I do that, and let me show you the other side so that you know what you're looking at. Oh, I've got it the wrong way around. Good on you, man. Let's turn it that way. That's better. Is because that keeps my rows straight. Okay, that's one side, and there is your other side. Now look how perfectly straight my row is. When you're doing chains, you get that big space and some of it's sticking out and some of it's going in, but when you are doing your single crochets at the beginning of each round, you get that beautiful straight line. It doesn't always work with a lot of things, but with this top it does. And the best part about this top is when we are sewing our sides together, because of your chains, let me get you a nice close-up so you can see, because of your chains you have the loops showing, so you can put your single crochets or your slip stitches or whatever you're going to use to sew them together. I might end up just sewing it with a needle this time just for fun, but we're not going to worry about that now. We'll worry about that in part 2 of our tutorial. We are still on part 1, guys. Sorry, I had to disappoint you. Now, before you continue with that row, get your measuring tape and make sure that your piece, I brought that out, I have, can't go out any further, sorry, is exactly at least, whoa, gonna measure it all out now. You're 61 all the way across. Now mine's a little bigger because, you know, I'm not going to tell you why, because I'm bigger, all right? I was just talking about 61. All right, so there you go. So make sure it's exactly your measurement that you made on your book right there. See how we did our 61? Make sure your measurement's exactly the same as the measurement that you chose. Like I've chosen 61, it should be 61, but it's not really because mine was a little bit bigger and I didn't want anyone to know. All right. Shh, you didn't see that, did you? I didn't tell you either. All right, well, let's get back to it. Okay. All right, now where we were, we did our single crochet and then we did our other single crochet on top. What I would like for you to do, especially if you are new, grab a stitch marker and pop it in that stitch right there. All right. Oops, and there you go, right at the very top of that stitch, because when you come back around, you're going to slip stitch into that stitch there. All right. In the meantime, that is the only time you will do that stitch. Yes. Then you'll be jumping inside your V's that you've made all the way across. That's these V's here. You're jumping actually in the V's. Now, if you watched the video with my sisters and we were all mucking around and being silly, if you haven't, I'll leave the link to that, the very first link in the description box down below. My sister was actually popping her V's in there and in there and in there and so on. You're not popping it in that space. It's going between your V's. So pop your double crochet in there like so. Yes, chain one and another double crochet in the same space. Skipping that space there and we're jumping into our V stitches only with a double crochet, chain one and a double crochet. Now if you want to use the lingo, you say jump into your next V with your V stitch. Okay, that's if you want to use the lingo. Jump into your next V with your V stitch. Okay, it's a very basic stitch. I love, love, love so much. Into the V with a V. Whoops, V with a V. And there you go. Easy. Yeah, in the V with a V. And I'm going to show you where you're at so you make sure you're not doing what my sister was doing in that video. All right, so there it is. You can see the V. Oh, sadly, it's the same color as my board. The one time I use a different color. All right, so your V's are actually inside your V's, which, you know, hence the word V-stitch top. All right, so guess what you're going to do? You're going to head off on your own. You're going to do your V's all the way across. When you get to that very last V, I shall meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. Okay, there's, you know, my gazillion stitches there. It does take up a lot, doesn't it? But it grows very quickly, doesn't it? All right, now we are going to, I forgot to put a stitch marker here, but you know, this stitch space here, this stitch belongs to this double crochet. So you need to pop your hook in the chain stitch, the top chain stitch from our previous 7 chains. There's your double crochet. Your top stitch is right there. So pop your hook in and do a normal double crochet in there. All right, so what you have done there, and I'll show you, is exactly the same as the opposite side. All right, oh, it's upside down, sorry. Get it right, Mary. So that's what you have done. You've got your chains, you've got your double crochet, and you've got your stitch there. All right, so that's pretty much it, really, guys. It's a repeat row. That row you just did, you're doing all the way over again. So what I'm going to do is start you off. So turning your work, Now remember what I did before, I didn't chain up 3. If you want to chain up 3, that's fine. Just pop your stitch marker in that third chain. So like this, we're doing our single crochet there, and then single crochet on the side stitch there. All right, or you can chain 3. If you've chained 3, just grab your stitch marker and pop it in the 2 loops of your chain 3, or the rest of us can just pop it in the 2 loops of our single crochet. Okay, and now you're just going to jump into your very next V-stitch right there. Guess what? And do a V. Super duper easy. Yay, very exciting. And a V in your next, and so on. It's just super easy. Now this is why I chose this stitch to do the top. I'm not going to do any more because my thread's getting caught under the table. It's really caught under the table there. Continue in that row. Get to the end of your row where we've popped our stitch marker. Do your very last V-stitch in there, and I'll meet you up. Alrighty guys, here we are at the end of the row. All right. Now, okay, so there's our stitch marker. We're in the last V, or I'm in the last V, and there's my stitch marker. So what I'm going to do is do a double crochet in that stitch marker. Nice tight stitch marker. Oh dear, in that stitch right there. Not the stitch marker, the stitch. Get it right, Mary. Pull a loop through and do your normal double crochet. Ta-da! All right, super duper easy, isn't it? I know, right? I know. Oops, I'll bring that out. All right, so that is easy. You're going to repeat that row we just did over and over and over again. And when you get to, now here's where the measurements come in again. When we did our width measurement, okay, this was all width, yes? That was all your width measurement. Now, we're going to do our length measurements now. When we did our width measurement, okay, this was all width, yes? That was all your width measurement. Now, we're going to do our length measurements now, all right? Length. The length that you would need here, all right, is the length of the front of your top or the back, whichever suits you. All right, now we measured the length as a moment ago, and I came up with mine, which was 56 centimeters. All right, so we'll just pop our 56 if the pen works. Oh gosh, can you believe it's messing up on me? 56 centimeters. I'm doing well. All right, 56 centimeters. Yes, I wanted 56 centimeters. Now, when you get to the end of your front, this one right here, which I'll show you because this is one front that I've done, and we're going to get together and do the second one in a minute. Well, you're going to do the first one and I'm going to do the second one. Get it right, Mary. All right, so there's your V's. I'm just going to turn it to the side so you can see it because it's better on the side. Measure your top all the way down to there. Oops, I'll just stretch that. There we go. Sorry about that. I'm doing well. Here we go. So roughly around 50 or 51. If you are going to use the same measurements as me, get to about 50 or 51, preferably 50 centimeters, right? Which is roughly there, around 20 inches, something like that. Then leave the last 2 inches or the last 5 centimeters or 6 centimeters. All right, leave that because we're going to be creating, because I mentioned on my live, for those of you who watch my live, if you haven't, I'll pop a link to the live in a description box down below, but it doesn't matter because I'm talking about it now. This is the piece and that's the middle. And the reason I have 2 stitch markers in the middle is because my V-stitches, they end up even along here. But it doesn't matter, this has nothing to do with it, all right? We're going to be crocheting another set of V-stitches from there to the end and from there to there, and we're going to be doing 4 or 5 rows of that only. This leaving this part lower on our neck so it's not choking us, all right? This part's going to go a bit higher, and then maybe up the top we might put a row of single crochet. I haven't decided that part yet. I haven't got to that bit. So what I want you to do is do your piece. Get it complete to about, wrong side. Get it complete to about as close as you can, right, to your size, leaving, 5 centimeters or a couple of inches so that we can work on the top part, all right? Get to your last cluster set on your piece and meet me back here in a moment. Alrighty, look how big it is. Well, mine's big. What are you trying to say? Are you calling me big? Oh, I'm sorry. I do get naughty at least once in my tutorials. Okay, so that's my last V-stitch there. I didn't put my stitch marker in, but that doesn't matter. I'm going to pop my last double crochet where the stitch marker is with you guys, if you're using stitch markers, in there like so. Yes? Then I'm going to pull a loop through like so. Nice long tail, and give it a cut. All right, pull that loop through completely. Nice long tail. It doesn't have to be long, it's just me being fussy. All right, so there you go. This is your first side. Okay, now that's the best bit, guys. You know what the hard bit is? You've got to do another one exactly the same. What? Well, you don't want to be half dressed now, do you? So what I want you to do, this is the best bit, guys, head off on your own. Do the second side to our V-stitch top. Meet me back here on Monday or Tuesday of next week, which is not that far away now. We've only got about 3 or 4 days to go now. Meet me back here then, and we will do this part of it where we add a few more rows, and then we will attach the pieces and finish off. So we'll be doing part 2, will be the final part of our V-stitch top. But for now, you need to do 2 of these, all right? Don't forget, guys, we are actually in the middle of a competition. You have to be in it to win it. I will leave a link to the competition in the description box down below. It will be the second link that you come to. And it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun, and we're creating a cushion along with it, so it can't go wrong. It's a win-win situation. If you are new to the channel, guys, firstly, welcome. And secondly, click on the link, join into the competition. Also, don't forget to join me on Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m, Melbourne, Australia time, that is, so that we can all get together and have a bit of a live chat and have some fun. Okay, so thank you so much for watching, guys. Don't forget, you need to do 1 more of these. I will meet you back here in a couple of days' time to complete our V-stitch top. Thank you so much for watching, and all I want to say right now is ciao for now.